Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Men in Stripes, the Stripe High Bengals podcast. And right now, the Bengals sitting at 2-4, welcoming the Cleveland Browns to Paul Brown Stadium this Sunday. And I'm joined, as always, with Tim Daniel and Matthew Wilson. Tim, how you doing today?
Hey, man, what's going on?
Matt, how you feeling?
I'm feeling all right.
Yeah. Now, guys, I know you already did a podcast that I wasn't available for, recapping the Bengals' loss in Foxborough last Sunday to Bill Belichick and the Patriots. I just wanted to give my opinion briefly, if I may.
By all means.
Compared to, I know it was an 18-point loss, 4 more points in the Dallas game. But I thought overall the Bengals played better against New England, and overall I saw more emotion out of the team against the Patriots than I did with Dallas, where they completely just laid down after they fell down 28 to nothing. What it was. Would you guys agree with that for the most part?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think we saw him be more aggressive. I thought we saw him get after Brady and make him uncomfortable at times, which is nice to see. And what we talked about Sunday was, we were really happy to see Giovanni Bernard. I understand Hill was hurt, but Giovanni Bernard was the guy, and he really stepped up, kind of like he did last year when he had the chance. He had 94 total yards of offense by himself, so I did like what happened. I thought they could have kept it going. I think that, things didn't go their way, and they got rattled. Some bad penalties were called, obviously. But yeah, man, I was very happy with their performance other than the second half.
Fire Paul Gunther.
Yeah. I thought overall the defensive line showed up in the first half at least, got to Brady 3 times. And, things were going in the Bengals' way, but, they kind of got in their own way a bit. Second and goal down at the 1, you have to score. They failed 3 straight times, 2 Giovanni Bernard runs, a fade to AJ in the back of the end zone, fell incomplete.
I hate fade routes. I hate them.
Oh, thank you. I've never seen it work for the Bengals with a goal line fade to AJ Green. I know he's capable of it, but I've just never seen it actually work.
Tyler Eifert makes it work sometimes.
Yeah. And I honestly, I don't see it work a lot of the times around the NFL in general. Those fade routes in the back corner, just because probably cornerbacks see it coming a lot. But then after that, the Bengals forced a punt, went down. Dalton scored on the fake option pitch, and then I think what really the down spiral started was on that 3rd down, and I think 13. Drake Kirkpatrick got called with a defensive holding. Pass was incomplete by a mile. Drive continued, and then Brady hit James White for a touchdown. And then after that, it wasn't all downhill. The Bengals came back and scored, but once again, Dante Hightower made that safety sack on Dalton, and then after that, Patriots went on a 20-something to nothing run. Or 21-3, the Bengals got a field goal there. So, but overall, I liked the effort.
Yeah, I agree, and I think you mentioned that safety play by Dante Hightower. One, like Dante Hightower is a true 1990s middle linebacker that you don't really see in the league anymore. So you got to give him preps for there. But at the same point, we're kind of a broken record talking about this Bengals offensive line at this point. More particularly in particular, that if you watch that, it's a straight through the gap. A player, Russell Bodine, once again is late on his assignment, and he just gets right through there. So I don't know what it's going to take for Russell Bodine to click. It's been 3 years now, but we're continuously seeing this happen more and more with this team.
Yeah, and offensive line, we really are. It is a broken record, and we really do have to improve. And overall, what I liked the most was the defensive line, but that good teams like we've seen from the Bengals in the past, they get after the quarterback and they keep it up the entire game. And credit, Bill Belichick wasn't going to let that happen. Made great second half adjustments, and Tom Brady picked apart Carlos Dansby on more than one occasion.
Yeah.
James White out of the backfield, beating him for 2 touchdowns. Gronk beat him up the sideline on the Patriots' first drive of the ball game. So Dansby, I think Lance McAllister said it best. He was really looking his age in that game. 34-year-old linebacker trying to cover a speedy running back out of the backfield and try to cover two very good tight ends in Rob Gronkowski and Martellus Bennett.
He's got Barnkowski this week.
Yeah, Gary Barnidge coming up for the Browns. So now, guys, we'll move past the New England game since you guys already went in depth with that one. Now we turn to news this week and maybe another broken record coming up here. Vontaze Burfict fined $75,000 for, I believe his hit on Martellus Bennett was low, got him in the left knee, and apparently I didn't see it actually during the game until after the game. The stomping incident near the goal line kind of looked like he was stomping near LeGarrette Blount. And Matt, I'll start with you. And what are your thoughts on Vontaze Burfict's fine?
For the most part, he's got the history. And the history, as we saw, and as we've seen in the past with Sue and James Harrison, is the key factor that the NFL looks at, whether or not something was intentional, because what we did see with the Martellus Bennett play is the fact that Tom Brady pumped to Martellus to Bennett, and of course Vontaze Burfict reacted. Did he go low? Yeah, but there again, where is he supposed to tackle? You told him he can't go high. I mean, are we just going to play flag football? That's the reality of it. But then you also look at the stomp, which, if you're stomping anywhere near a player and you have a history, you're calling yourself out in the NFL's eyes, and you've got to be careful of that. And I'm hoping, Marvin pulled him to the side, and same with the rest of the guys, and said, listen, you got to think before you do. And so he put himself in that position. I like what Emil did with his article where he talked about Burfict just can't get a break, but Burfict's got to give himself a break first, and that's going to be the key there if he's going to get back on track. Like, granted, what James Harrison did. James Harrison really hasn't had that issue for a few years now, and Burfict needs to show that it's not all about his past. It's now about what he can do in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree that history kind of tells this story more than the intention. Yeah, the pump fake on Martellus Bennett, it looks like that was what that circumstance was there. But, for Patriots fans to get mad about that really makes me laugh, especially, given their circumstances. But, on the stomping thing, yeah, I'm with you. I don't know fully if that was his intention or not. There's been 3 or 4 angles that show 2 different stories. So I'm all on for that. Vontaze does need to give himself a break, and I love his passion. Obviously, we love that he's an elite talent, but he's an idiot sometimes, and that's not, that's calling it as it is. It's really frustrating because he is. It's not like he's some special teamer that goes out and, does some stupid things to get you in trouble. This is your best player, your best linebacker, maybe one of your top 3 or 4 players in your defense. Mm-hmm. On your team, I should say, and keeps putting himself in these circumstances. I really want to have a case where Vontaze Burfict has a light bulb incident, like Mo Aker kind of talked about today in his blog, but I just don't know when that's going to happen.
Yeah, the stomp, I didn't really get a good look at it. If he did stomp on someone, what I saw was like an end zone angle, where you could just speculate. So I'm not really inclined to give my opinion on that. With the pump fake on Martellus Bennett, it's almost like the Reggie Nelson situation a few years back when he hit Le'Veon Bell low.
Yeah.
On the reception. It's like, yeah, where are you going to tackle him? And especially it's Martellus Bennett. If you go high on this dude, he's going to bounce off you. And credit Brady. Burfict was playing way off. He wasn't in position to make an interception or anything, so he thought the ball was coming to Bennett. Went low on him to make a tackle, take his feet out once the ball got there. And with the Patriots trying to be mad about that, it's like, people could write books about the Patriots and their wrongdoings,
right?
All the way back to Spygate. So that also makes me laugh too. But you bring up a good point, Tim. And when is Burfict's realization? You know, you would think it was after costing the Bengals a playoff game. He, along with Pac-Man Jones, but now this incident in just his third game back from suspension for that same hit, and now he's racked up $805,000 in fines in 53 games. But my biggest thing on the Bennett hit was that if you watch earlier in the game, Burfict was helping him up all the time.
Yeah.
Dabbing him up after each play, tap on the helmet. I mean, it seemed clean, and then, you know, things started spiraling out of control, and it started with the Bennett hit, which I don't think was malicious, and then it was capped off and highlighted by Gronkowski chipping away after every single catch.
Yeah, and the other thing to point out in this circumstance, too, is Martellus Bennett's comments were, you know, he apologized for hitting me low. That stuff happens. Like, that, you know, he said the right things there, and I do think that, you know, that's what he meant by that, too.
Yeah.
Let's talk about happy things. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's a happy thing, and hopefully it continues to go in this direction, because we've seen it setbacks and, you know, bad news out of Bengals camp on this issue, and it's something that's been a topic on each one of our podcasts here in the last 3 or 4 weeks, and that's tight end Tyler Eifert. And, you know, he was seen on the practice field, I believe that was yesterday, correct me if I'm wrong?
Yeah, today too.
Along with Burfict, and today Eifert was practicing, so, you know, all signs right now point to Tyler Eifert. Don't know how many snaps he'll play against the Browns, but, you know, he's going to be on the field, it looks like.
Yeah, man. How about that? Tyler Eifert, baby. The red zone is back.
I thought the red zone was back this past week.
Kind of. You know, maybe we can go back to Dallas maybe in garbage time, but this is a huge, huge thing. If this ends up that he plays, you got to be happy. Obviously, you're excited as a Bengal fan because this is your second best player on offense, really coming in there, stepping in, making things happen. I don't know about you two. I've talked about how I think Tyler Kroft and CJ Uzomah could end up being huge parts of this team. They could run a really good 3 tight end set, but I'm tired of seeing those two on the field not making plays since week 2 or 3. It's time to get the man back. Time to have our best player in that circumstance. The top red zone target in the NFL is back. We got the top red zone target and the best deep threat in the NFL on the same team. Eifert, baby. The Eifert Green combo. We're doing things again. I wrote that article back in February about how I thought they were the best wide receiver tight end tandem in the league.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping Eifert can continue to stay healthy, and what a week to come back to, especially since the Browns are giving up, if not the most, one of the most passing yardage to tight ends in the league, and so nice little confidence booster going into this week.
Yeah, Matt, you bring that up, and definitely I was gonna say I gave some advice to some fantasy players in my league. I said, you know, if Eifert can't go, I'd pick up CJ Uzomah because he out-targets Tyler Kroft, and Browns been atrocious against tight ends this year. And looking at the numbers, Zach Ertz went for 6 for 58. Dennis Pitta went for 9 for 102. Jordan Reed, 9 for 73, 2 touchdowns. Martellus Bennett, 6 for 67, 3 touchdowns. Gronk, 5 for 109. So the Browns, seriously, and, you know, top of my head, I can't really name any of their linebackers. I bet if you said one of them, I'd be...
No!
I would remember them, but...
I was like, Barkevius Mingo, gone. Paul Kruger, gone.
Gone. Dansby, gone.
Yeah.
Is Craig Robertson still there? He was the man of the year a couple years ago.
He might be.
And I will say he's gone, too.
Who's on their D-line?
Danny Shelton?
That's right. Okay, there's one.
And other people.
Yeah. Is Desmond Bryant still there?
Hold on.
I'm really not sure, but yeah, like you said, this could do wonders for the Bengals offense. And I saw an Facebook status after the Patriots game, and it said the Bengals are quietly wasting the Bengals are wasting a quietly good Andy Dalton season.
Yeah,
because I don't know, working with these limited weapons, and you know, we've talked. This is a dead horse for me that I keep beating. Is that Dalton's still playing well, leading the AFC in passing yards, or one of the top without Jones, without this far. And, you know, he's been accurate, and he's also not turning the football over. Mm-hmm. And just adding Eifert back to that dynamic, one more weapon, maybe that frees up A.J. Green on Joe Hayden this Sunday, or maybe that frees up Brandon LaFell or Tyler Boyd to have a big day.
Well, we also got to think, too, in that circumstance, Shelby, there's a chance that Joe Hayden's not going to play this week, is what they're saying. Like a really good one. Because
by the way, Carl Nassib.
Oh, okay. From Penn
State. Jamie Metter.
Dude, is that what the Browns' game plan is next year with all these draft picks? They're just going to draft 12 defensive linemen. Is that the goal?
I think they're probably going to go after maybe 1 or 2 linebackers in that.
As long as they don't draft corners in the first round.
Yeah.
Quote from Tim Daniel.
I didn't say it's a bad idea. I just said enough's enough. If you read the article.
I didn't.
Yeah, read it, Shelby.
I saw it posted. In case you guys are wondering, Tim wrote an article, which I'm sure was great, saying the Bengals need to stop going after corners in the first round because, you know, recent history. This year was William Jackson, who we probably won't see on the field. Prior to that, Tyler Eifert was the first-round pick. Then Darqueze Dennard was one of them. Dre Kirkpatrick was a first-rounder. I think 3 corners in the last 4 years or 5 years for the Bengals in the first round.
If you look at it, in the Dalton and Green era, of all their first-round picks, it's either been a cornerback or an offensive line, except for A.J. Green and Tyler Eifert.
Well, how many first-round picks have they had? 6?
Well, remember the year they took Dre Kirkpatrick? They had 2 because they took Kevin Zeitler that year.
Yeah.
Then the next year was when they took Eifert. Then that was Darqueze Dennard. And then it was Cedric Ogbuehi. And then this year was William Jackson. My point was, this is a team that we've seen a lot of really struggling to get to the quarterback. Say what you will about Michael Johnson being back. I think that the Bengals are the best fit for him. He hasn't played that great.
No.
Like, at all. I was very low on Marcus Hunt going into this season, like many people. I was obviously wrong. I do really like what Will Clark has done for this team, too. But
absolutely.
This team does not have a lot of guys that are getting to the quarterback. And Carlos Dunlap, we know, has that ability. We obviously know Geno Atkins has that ability, but it's not happening. And in their linebacking core, can anyone tell me the last time the Cincinnati Bengals took a linebacker in the first round? Was it Brian Simmons and Takeo Spikes in 98?
It would have been Odell Thurman or David Pollock in 2006.
It was David Pollock in 05, who they drafted as a DN and converted to a linebacker. So, yes, thank you, Shelby. I forgot about that. Yeah, so it's like, I like Ray Maualuga. I don't know how much longer he's going to be able to play at a high level.
Maualuga was a first-round pick.
Second rounder. That was the year they took Andre Smith.
Second round?
Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, Vontaze Burfict's undrafted. Potentially a first or second round pick if he's not hurt.
Vinny Ray undrafted.
Yeah. Nick Vigil might have been the highest rated linebacker in the Lewis era that they've drafted since Pollock.
Yeah. Yeah.
Since Pollock and Thurman. Yeah, so my point was more or less like I wish that, Dre Kirkpatrick, Kivari Russell, William Jackson III, Darqueze Dennard. That's a really good core to be excited about. And I left some names out of there. Josh Shaw. I like Chris Lewis-Harris more than most. I think he's a really solid man coverage quarterback that the Bengals don't have a lot of because they play a lot of zone. I just think that, and I understand Paul Gunther doesn't like to blitz a lot either. I just think that this is a team that needs to get better at that because last year they didn't blitz a lot either. I think they had the lowest blitzing percentage in the league or one of the top 5 or 6 lowest, and they still had one of the top 5 or 6 sacks at the same point. So yeah. I understand losing Reggie Nelson, losing Leon Hall. That doesn't help. But I just really think that that's a move the Bengals really need to start looking at and maybe start changing that draft strategy up a bit because they've built a good core of young defensive backs.
By the way, is it time for the NFL to adopt the 15-yard pass interference call?
Are you? I'm guessing you're saying about the Packers-Bears right now.
Yeah, that was like a 45-yard penalty.
Yeah.
When they start having good Thursday night games, I'll worry about them calling penalties.
Chargers Broncos was a good one.
Let's give you the floor, man. I mean,
Yeah.
what? You wrote a pretty solid article this week about Marvin Lewis not going anywhere and everyone freaking out.
Yeah, he's not.
Emil, excuse me.
What's there to freak out about? Marvin Lewis is going to be there, and that they could go 2-14. He's going to be there on the sidelines in 2017, and there's no debate about it. And there's all these articles that are like, is this Marvin Lewis's last chance? Like, is he on the hot seat? And I was just like, let me answer it. No, he hasn't had a losing season since 2010. What happened? In the last 5 years, there's been two big chances if you wanted to make a coaching change. I would have said last year after that debacle, when you have Hugh Jackson waiting in the wings, maybe then. And then in 2010, Mike Zimmer was there. The Bengals just went 4-12. They were in complete rebuild mode. That was the Dalton Green first and second round pick. They started from scratch, won 9 games, made the wild card, lost to Houston. If they were going to rebuild then, I think that was probably the prime time if you're going to make a coaching change because, they had just won the division in 2009 and then went from first to worst in the AFC North. Well, actually, they finished ahead of Cleveland that year, which isn't saying much.
Yeah.
But, even after last year against Pittsburgh, you hear talks, is Lewis on the hot seat? And what does Mike Brown do? 3 months later, he signs Lewis to his third consecutive one-year extension, and he's going to honor that. And I pointed out in the article that, and it kind of built on what you said, Matt, in one of our previous podcasts, is that there's no one on the coaching staff right now that you say, yep, fire Marvin, put him in there. With Zimmer or with Hugh Jackson, you make the case for it. Yep. 1, because Zimmer's been around for so long, and 2, because Hugh Jackson had been a head coach before in Oakland in 2011. But since Paul Brown died in 91, it's like I pointed out, is that Mike Brown has appointed 4 new head coaches. Marvin Lewis was the only one that he reached outside of the franchise, outside of Cincinnati, to be the head coach. Bruce Coslett was the offensive coordinator. Dave Shula was the wide receivers coach. And Dick LeBeau was defensive coordinator. So, that's why I feel so strongly that the Bengals could go 3-13 and not make the playoffs. And Mike Brown is still going to honor Marvin Lewis's contract and keep him until at least till the end of next season.
So I'm going to do a comparison of different sports here. So just bear with me for a moment as I put this together, gentlemen. So the Chicago Bulls, I don't know if you recently heard, they had a really wonderful, fantastic coach by the name of Tom Thibodeau. Name sound familiar to anyone? Yeah, because he's the freaking man. That's what he is. Well, the Chicago Bulls thought, Tibbs, you get us to the playoffs every year. We make it. We're competitive. You made a young kid an MVP. But, we want to get past the hump. We want to beat Cleveland. You're not the guy for that. We're going to let you go. And then they brought in a Fred Hoiberg. Do people know Fred Hoiberg? They should, because he's a terrible head coach. This guy has made Derrick Rose terrible.
Hot take.
This guy has done a lot of dumb things. His Hoiberg mentality does not work. And he just said the franchise said they were going to get younger and more athletic and sign a 34-year-old Dwayne Wade and a 32-year-old Rajon Rondo and getting rid of two late 20-year-old guys who, okay, I'll take that move. My point is here is if the Bengals get rid of Marvin Lewis, who in this analogy is Tom Thibodeau, do not give me a Fred Hoiberg. Did that line up?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm getting at that point is if you're going to replace Marvin and you want to continue the success of the Bengals organization with the players you have to find the right head coach. You can't just pick the first guy you see and go, yeah, he looks good. And so for me, what's up?
That's exactly what the Bulls did with Hoiberg. Like, they had that plan for like 2 years.
So I mean, for me, I want somebody who is, if you're going to replace him, I want somebody who's proven. Mm-hmm. There's an argument that after the season, especially if the Bears are terrible again, that John Fox would be available.
God, no.
No.
I've heard that. I've already heard some Cleveland fans saying how terrible Hugh Jackson is. Which, if they want to release him, please be my guest.
On over.
Your offense is just basically put up 20 points per game plus. It's your defense that sucks. I'd be keeping the head coach around and finding a new defensive coordinator if I were you. Part of me almost would love to see. Why am I? And I do this every show. Both Shelby and Tim. Miami.
Kevin Coyle.
The D-backs coach that went to Miami's defensive coordinator.
Is that Kevin Coyle?
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see what he can do in Paul Gunther's role. Try to bring him back with the guys that he knows and that he loves, and bring him back in a defensive coordinator role, and maybe go from there. But again, I want a proven commodity.
If they're going to make a change, the only name that's going to be on the market that really makes sense to me, and it's not an ideal situation, but I wouldn't mind him being here, is Josh McDaniels. I know he drafted Tim Tebow. That was a bad move. No one's going to deny that. But he wins.
Except against the Steelers.
He did beat the Steelers, yes. But Josh McDaniels has been in a lot of winning situations in New England, and he knows how to put things together and make things happen. And coaches are going to be jumping at the chance to coach the Bengals if Marvin Lewis is let go. Let's just be realistic here. They see the talent that's on that roster, and they're going to go, I want to coach these guys. And Josh McDaniels, I think, could make things happen with these guys if came to that circumstance.
If there was anyone, if it were to happen, which it's not going to.
It's not.
After 2017. I would just want someone. My biggest problem with Marvin is just his emotion.
Yep.
I just want to, why couldn't Marvin show the fire? I love Mike Tomlin, and I hate to say that.
I agree.
But he's so passionate, and he's fun to watch on the sidelines, even when he's disrupting kick returns. And, he gets in players' faces, and he goes berserk, and I don't know, I just kind of like that, and I feel that's what they kind of lost with Mike Zimmer. Someone who's just fiery, and players are motivated by him, and Marvin just kind of just sits there with that look about he's trying to solve a long division problem when he hasn't done math in 10 years. That's what it looks like half the time, and
that's my life, bro.
Yeah, I feel you, but I mean, like I said, it won't matter. And maybe in 18 months when the 2017 season's done, then it will matter. But for now, it's just all speculation.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Zimmer was honestly the best choice, the best option, and with him gone, it and not even an option at this point, I'm really sitting there thinking that Marvin's going to be here for obviously another year, but possibly another 2 to 3 before we see another solid coaching change that they can make.
Well, look at it in Mike Brown's perspective. First of all, it's Mike Brown who let Hugh Jackson walk.
Yeah.
When Lewis and Jackson had a succession plan, Mike Brown didn't want to put it in paper. Jackson went north.
Yep.
So, we can blame him for that. But look what he's got from his history. How many years, as when he first started in 91 without his father, the Bengals collapsed. They were the Bungles. They went through 4 straight coaches they only had one non-losing season. I think it was '95 when the Shaken Blake with Jeff Blake and Carl Pickens.
Yeah.
But now, he found success with Marvin Lewis, which for the first time in his tenure as an owner he's had. And, I think he's just kind of like clinging on to that and just doesn't want to let it go. And he's fine with a one and done playoff appearance because he went through a whole decade where they lost double-digit games. It's like, you put it in the Cleveland shoes. Would they be happy if they went to 5 straight playoffs, lost in the first round? Yeah, because they'd have something to cheer about from September to the end of December. So that was the whole point of the article. Is just like, I just don't see him going anywhere because he's rewarding the success Marvin has, and there's no questioning that he's had success as far as the regular season is concerned.
Hey guys, we're gonna have this. We can have a full show on what to do with Marvin Lewis. I think we're well aware of that. But we got a game to get ready for this week. Did you know that?
We do?
Yeah. I don't know who the Bengals are going to be game planning for in that circumstance. I think it's Cody Kessler and Andrew Hawkins because they're talking now that Terrell Pryor's hamstring issue might keep him out of this game also. So
that would be huge.
Yeah, that would be. Because as much as I like Adam Jones and Drake Kirkpatrick, that dude scares the hell out of me because he's still learning to play that position. He's already really good at it. Is this gonna be the day of Duke Johnson? Is this gonna be the day where Duke Johnson gets 14 catches out of the backfield and 90 total yards, but the Bengals win big? Is that gonna be that kind of game? I have a feeling it's gonna be that kind of game.
Well, you said Bengals win big, so I'll take it.
Yeah.
But after seeing what James White did to the Patriots last week, or James White did to the Bengals last week, probably be a smart idea to throw some screen passes Duke Johnson's way or have him run out of the backfield and watch Ray Malaluga or Carlos Dansby try to cover him. So I could definitely see that happening. But, as far as the game plan goes, it surrounds Terrell Pryor. He's been amazing. He's taken snaps at safety, quarterback, running back, wide receiver. He's probably going to play left guard at some point. So I think that's who you have to game plan for, just of how much success he's had. But, if he doesn't play, that receiving core, Andrew Hawkins and who else?
Ricardo Lewis, I think?
Ricardo Lewis. And of course, Gary Barnidge, with how much trouble the Bengals have had against tight ends.
Yeah. Barnidge didn't really go off against the Bengals last year. I know part of that was Austin Davis and Johnny Manziel, but...
Right.
Hey, if you remember in that Thursday night game, Johnny Manziel was driving that first half, and then Carlos Dunlap happened.
Yeah, well, the Bengals were foolish they let Dunlap just go off the defensive ends. They figured out in the second half. All they had to do was keep Manziel in the pocket.
Yeah,
and he's not going to make an accurate throw. And the Browns dropped a lot of passes that game as well. And, they ended up getting to him. I think Geno had a big sack, and the Bengals offense was efficient that day as they were all season last year. But, if you lined up this Bengals team right now in that Thursday night game last year, I think it's a 20-13 game. I think it's a close game. But, honestly, Cody Kessler, not bad.
No, but they're going to draft. They're going to draft one of the 3 quarterbacks in the first round next year.
Yeah, I think so too, because RG3 can't stay healthy. Luke McCown's a senior citizen, and Kessler's still unproven. But Kessler last week, he went to Tennessee, put up 336 against a Dick LeBeau defense. As Carson Palmer can attest to, not an easy feat. Tennessee's defense isn't anything to write home about or compare to those Steelers in the mid-2000s when they won a couple Super Bowls. But, Kessler, for a 4th-round rookie who wasn't expected to sniff the field this year, and played pretty decent.
So I can put it this way, that Shelby, in your next article, it's going to have the Browns depth chart, and it's just going to say Terrell Pryor for every position.
Yeah, and Gary Barnidge.
And by the way, if Josh McCown is a senior citizen, then that means Joe Thomas is soon going to be receiving his AARP card.
Well, Joe Thomas has a few more accolades where I can't really make fun of him.
Yeah, and he's probably not going to be a Brown by the deadline.
and he's not on his 17th NFL team.
Can we trade for him, please?
Dude, put Joe Thomas at left tackle, move Whitworth to left guard. Yeah, I'm down. Let's do that.
Yeah, that was Whitworth played his first game at left guard and led the way for Rudy Johnson to run for 175 against Cleveland in 2006. So
I'll give up Ogbuehi for Joe Thomas and keep Jake Fisher.
You really gonna give up on Ogbuehi that early though?
I love that kid, man. I think he's gonna end up being very good.
Who, Jake Fisher or Ogbuehi?
Both, actually. But in the conversation of Ogbuehi, I think Ogbuehi has all the abilities. I think that this is a game where we talked about this Sunday. I think this is a situation where he missed a lot of training camp. Obviously, he missed all of training camp his rookie year.
Yep.
He played sparingly, once he was activated out the PUP list.
Yep.
He missed he missed camp this year. This is his first time getting full-time NFL action, man. So, and he's lining up on the right side where guys like Von Miller are coming at you. Yep. Guys like Sean Lee are coming at you. Guys like Dante Hightower are coming at you. You notice a trend I'm going through it here? These are all guys he's played against in his first 6 games as a starting offensive tackle.
Guys like insert Browns defensive end name here.
Right. Carl Nassib. Carl Nassib, I think, might be that guy.
Nassib will be the guy to line up over top of him.
Let's just enjoy beating up the Browns while we can, because next year they're probably going to get Myles Garrett, and it's going to just really suck not watching them blitz on us, because he's going to get to our quarterbacks a lot.
And now, guys, I think the biggest storyline here is obviously Hugh Jackson coming back to Cincinnati, where he was offensive coordinator for Dalton last year during his MVP-like season for the first 13 weeks. He was a receivers coach when Chad Johnson and Chris Henry and T.J. Houshmandzadeh were here. I mean, he's bounced around to a lot of teams, but he spent some great years and put up great results in Cincinnati. And my question is, do you think his experience with knowing the Bengals system, knowing Andy Dalton, will have any effect come Sunday? And if this is a trap game for the Bengals, even though at 2-4, I would highly imagine that the Bengals aren't taking anyone lightly.
I think familiarity will play a part, but sometimes talent beats familiarity. And there's a lot more talent in orange and black than it is in orange and brown in this game. I love Hugh. I wish he was still here. I'll never say a bad thing about Hugh Jackson. I really think he got a bad deal in Oakland, honestly. I thought he did a really good job with what he had to deal with there. But, you can know things, but you can know things about the other team all you want. You watch film, but at the end of the day, if your 11 guys are better than their 11 guys, it's going to be a long day for their 11 guys.
Yeah, obviously Hugh knows the Bengals system, but the Bengals know Hugh's system. So, the Bengals kind of have an edge there too. And Carlos Dansby knows a lot of the defensive players, even though there have been a few changes. And so, he can kind of tell what the style is of their game, and if he can do that, then it's kind of the same aspect. So it really is going to come down to the play on the field, and I think Hugh Jackson is going to be well received in Cincinnati. I don't think that there are going to be too many boos around the stadium. I wouldn't be surprised if there was kind of a standing ovation for Hugh in some form or fashion, but yeah, Hugh was a great coach. So I'm excited to see this game, because this game is kind of a good setup game for the Bengals to head to London on.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, and Tim, I like your point. This isn't the 0-2 Buccaneers with John Gruden, playing Rich Gannon and the Raiders offense in the Super Bowl. This is the Browns, and Hugh Jackson can lay out the game plan all he wants of what the Bengals are going to do. But if Justin Gilbert, I think, is still in their secondary.
He's a Steeler.
Oh, that's right. If anyone in that secondary, Joe Hayden or someone, can't stop
Buster
AJ
Screen,
Green.
I think, is there.
No, Buster Screen's with the Jets.
That's right. Oh my God. Oh,
and he was with the Titans before that. So who plays for the Browns?
Who plays for the Browns?
Jamar Taylor.
This is bad because
Draymond Williams Sr.
I hate doing this because this is a Bengals team that's already lost to pretty much 2 rookies in Prescott and Simeon. And now I'm sitting here laughing, thinking about the Browns and who's actually on their team, when I think all of us could probably name the Ravens and Steelers pretty much the majority of their starters.
We could name their backups. I mean, we're going to see Ryan Mallett. We're probably going to see Ryan Mallett and Landry Jones this week. So
yeah, okay, good for the Bengals.
Yeah, that's another
Ryan
big
Mallett
thing.
versus Geno Smith. But we'll get on that later.
Oh damn, we better line up for that game. Shit, we better be there.
Yeah, set your DVRs, folks. But I guess we'll just go ahead and make our predictions. We'll start with this Bengals-Browns game. Hugh Jackson coming back to Cincinnati. And Matt, I'll start with you. And who wins and why?
Oh, I don't think the Bengals defense is going to keep the Browns under 20 points just because the Browns have averaged 20 points per game, even against decent teams. So I'm going to say Bengals still win this one. I'm going to go 28-20.
Gentlemen, I have had an outstanding week. I got a new Star Wars trailer. I got a new Power Rangers trailer. I got a new Guardians of the Galaxy trailer. And I'm going to see the Bengals cover the spread this week. Matt, I agree. I think that Cody Kessler is going to go into Paul Brown. He's probably going to put about 20 points or so. But I think the Bengals are going to cover the spread of 9.5. I'm picking the Bengals to win this one 31-20. I think they break the less than 23 streak this week because the Browns just aren't good enough to keep them at bay. I think that Giovanni Bernard's going to have another really nice game. I think Jeremy Hill's probably going to get about 30-40 yards rushing on top of that as well. I think A.J. Green's going to get triple digits and probably get in the end zone. But most importantly, if Tyler Eifert does in fact play in this game like many are expecting him, like he expects to, Tyler Eifert's getting in the end zone. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and my prediction is based on Eifert playing. And you know, I don't think the Browns score 20 if Terrell Pryor doesn't play.
Yeah.
The Bengals have to contain Isaiah Crowell. I say the Bengals, they break that 23 streak that they put up week 1 in New York. I think the Bengals win this game like around 27-17. I think Andy Dalton can. I think the entire offense. There's no limit. This offense. Granted that the offensive line performs, this offense can have a great day. So I'm going to pick the Bengals to win 27-17.
Before we pick in the other games, do you know, are they wearing the orange unis Sunday? I think they're going orange and white, aren't they? Nice.
With white pants.
And on our next podcast, we're going to ask Tim how Comic-Con was.
I've been. It's dope.
I figured you had been.
Don't hate, bro.
Dude,
all right, guys.
Fan.
It looks like we're gonna get into our lightning round right now. So we're done with the Bengals. Hopefully they 3-4 the next time we talk Who Day football. Now we look at this Thursday night game, which is already going on. Green Bay holding a 3-0 lead, and it looks like it's the Jimmy Clausen era, or not the Jimmy Clausen era.
Hey, bro.
Matt Barkley era. Kicking off in Chicago. Brian Hoyer was hurt just a few minutes ago, and, you know, that'll be the third quarterback along with Jay Cutler and Hoyer now. Barkley, third quarterback for the Bears this season. Who wins this game, even though the Packers already have the early lead?
I think Aaron Rodgers is really pissed off that people are saying he's done and he's declining. And Aaron's going to go out and put on a show. Packers win this one.
Packers win, but I don't think a show's going to happen because it should have already happened. So I'm still going to say it's a 17-10.
Yeah, I'm going to pick the Packers too. I mean, they don't really have a running game. Niall Davis just signed. Ty Montgomery's taking snaps.
Randall Cobb.
Yeah, I don't even know. Like, I can't even tell what's wrong with Aaron. Like, it's just so weird seeing him not play well. But I still think the Packers can win this game, especially with Hoyer hurt now, like 17-10, something along the lines of that. Yeah. So now we go to London, where the Bengals will play at Wembley Stadium next week. The Giants taking on the Rams across the pond. Who do you got winning and why? We'll start with Matt.
I'm going to go Rams. I think their defense is just that good.
Man. Something tells me that Odell Beckham, even though he's crazy and insane, is going to have another big day. Because that Rams defense, I do agree they have talent. They haven't shown up yet. They're going to win. The Giants are going to win this one. Trust me, I own them in fantasy football. I think the Giants win this one on the sake of too many weapons.
Yeah, the Rams, they have the pieces, but last week they got shredded by Detroit. Before that, Buffalo had a good day against them. I think the Giants are riding the momentum from that big win over Baltimore. Thank you very much, Eli Manning and Odell Beckham. Mm-hmm. So I'll take the Giants in this one. Next on the list, what's that?
The Dolphins.
The Rams over the Giants wouldn't be a bigger upset than the Dolphins Steelers.
I'm just saying going to me like last week, and I said Dolphins.
Now we go Saints at Chiefs. A couple of teams riding victories heading into this game. We'll start with you, Tim.
I am a Drew Brees owner. I love Drew Brees, but Drew Brees on the road is like Superman with kryptonite. Something different. There's something different when he's away from the dome. I like the pieces the Saints have, but I really like the Chiefs. I think Spencer Ware has really kind of turned around from his fumbleitis he had there for a couple weeks. Jamal Charles being back certainly doesn't hurt. And I think Jeremy Maclin's going to get back on it this week with Travis Kelce and everything. So I like the Chiefs at Arrowhead. They seem to be pretty damn good and rolling when they're there.
Yeah, I'm going Chiefs, plain and simple.
Yeah, I'm going Chiefs too. I'm a Drew Brees, Travis Kelce, Spencer Ware owner across a few leagues. What I can hope for is because Drew Brees does play worse on the road. I would hope he lights him up in garbage time a little bit, but I think the Chiefs win that one at Arrowhead. Next on the list in Nashville, division matchup, Colts taking on the Titans. Tim.
Man, the Colts are terrible, and their defense is really bad. And
Tell me how you really feel.
They suck.
Yeah.
And you know who doesn't suck? Marcus Mariota doesn't suck. And Marcus Mariota is going to continue to not suck this week. The Titans are winning this one. DeMarco Murray is going to have a big day running the ball. Derrick Henry is going to probably get 6 or 7 carries on top of it.
Yeah, I'm going Titans. I don't like the Colts. I think they're just terrible this year.
Poor Andrew Luck.
I'm going Titans too. I feel bad for Andrew Luck with the talent around him. I'm not real sure the big whoop about Mariota so far. The last couple games, he beat the Browns at home by 3. Then he beat the Dolphins on the road, who laid down. I mean, he's had a couple good games, but let's see him win a big division game. They lost to Houston on the road. Now this is his chance to put up some good numbers against a division team, get a big win, and I think he does that against the Colts this weekend. The undefeated Vikings coming off a bye, taking on the rookie Carson Wentz, the return of Sam Bradford to Philadelphia. Matt, who do you have?
Oh, part of me is wanting to sit there and say, is Stephon Diggs actually going to play? He's been limited in practice, and he's a huge part of what Minnesota does. I still love that defense Minnesota has, so I'm going Minnesota.
Gentlemen, I've said it before, and I'm going to say it a lot more this year. Skol, Vikings, Skol.
Yeah, I'm the same way. And even when Diggs didn't play against Houston, the Vikings controlled that from the first snap of the game until the fourth quarter, so the Vikings will roll in that one. We already picked Browns-Bengals, so we'll move to the Redskins at the Lions. Tim.
Man, Matthew Stafford's been on fire this year. He's been really good. Yeah. I know having Marvin Jones certainly doesn't hurt. As much as I don't think Golden Tate's going to repeat what he did last week where he was on fire on my bench in my fantasy football league, I do think the Lions are still good enough to win this one at home. Theo Riddick still, that's what I'm pending on, 'cause there's a good chance Theo Riddick might not play again from his ankle injury. But if Theo Riddick plays, and I'm expecting him to do so, I don't see the Lions losing this one.
I kind of want Washington to win just so that the Redskins aren't looking for some type of revenge heading into London. Mm-hmm. But something tells me that they're gonna hiccup this week and Detroit's gonna win.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Washington just because I'm going to ride the hot hand. They're on a 4-game winning streak. But I really want them to lose for the opposite reason. Just or I really want them to lose because I don't want them running a 5-game winning streak heading into the game against Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
So now we go to Raiders at Jacksonville. Derek Carr versus Blake Bortles. Start with Matt.
Oh, I think the Raiders are just going to pound them.
Yeah.
I disagree, man. Since London, the Jaguars have been on a roll. I think Blake Bortles is starting to really get back in rhythm with Allen Robinson. I think Allen Hurns is still a very fantastic wide receiver. And the Jaguars are making enough plays to win games. I don't think they're playing great, but they're doing enough to win games. And I love Derek Carr. I love Amari Cooper, and I think Michael Crabtree is definitely finally going to have a Pro Bowl year. But I don't know, man. Jaguars just feel like they're getting hot post-London.
Well, let's not get carried away with the Jags. I mean, they beat the Colts and Bears.
They came back and won that Bears game, though.
Huh?
They did come back and win that Bears game when they were down.
Yeah, but, it's still the Bears who are probably going to finish in the cellar of the NFC North. And, it was just a sloppy game all around. But I think Oakland bounces back because I don't know if you guys watched it, but it was a terrible showing against the Chiefs. I think the Raiders win that game.
Oh, yeah, and by the way, Blake Bortles needs to get me more than 9 points in fantasy.
Expected against Oakland's terrible secondary this week.
Yeah.
Buffalo at Miami. Tim.
Buffalo's going to keep it going, man. But, interesting to watch, news that came out today, LaShawn McCoy might not be in action. I don't think it matters. Tyrod Taylor is playing very well this year, and Miami's terrible. So, yeah, the Buffalo Bills are going to continue to circle the wagons.
It's at Miami. That's my only concern. And we saw what Miami did against the Steelers. They basically tore them apart, Ben or no Ben. That's
J.J. is not going to be able to do that again.
No.
You know what? You two are going Buffalo. I'm going to just go Miami. Just 2 weeks in a row.
Well, I'll just go Miami then, since it'll.
Damn, Matthew, you can't play your cards
Buffalo.
like that.
I really like Tyrod Taylor, and that Mike Gillespie backup ain't bad.
No.
I picked him up when Eddie Lacy went to the IR, so Buffalo.
Did the same thing, bro.
Ryan Mallett against Geno Smith in the Meadowlands.
Do I have to pick a winner?
I'm going to start and just go ahead and say JETS, Geno Smith.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick the Jets just because I think the Ravens are abysmally overrated, and they've showed it the last 3 games. They can't close out ball games like they started out doing against a bad Browns team and a bad Jacksonville team. And I forget who they beat in their first game of the season. Doesn't matter. Overrated. Jets win.
Quincy Enunwa is going to win this game for the Jets because I think they're going to try to double, triple coverage Brandon Marshall. And I don't think Matt Forte is going to have enough lanes to get big things that happen in the backfield. Jets.
Matt, did you pick?
Jets.
Good description. Okay, moving on. Buccaneers at 49ers. Yeah. NFC game. Kaepernick.
Terrible.
Kaepernick doesn't really matter to me. I'm gonna go with Tampa Bay coming off a bye, and I don't think Doug Martin's gonna play, but it doesn't really matter to me, honestly.
Mike Evans. Enough said. Buccaneers.
And the NFL wonders why its ratings are down. Buccaneers.
Can I break out the creamsicle unis for that one? That'd be dope.
Wouldn't you love that?
Yeah.
Do they play on Thursday? Have they played on Thursday night yet?
Not yet.
Maybe that could be their color rush.
That'd be cool.
I want the feather in the cap.
Yeah.
Okay, now we go to another one of the 4 o'clock games. It's the Chargers at the Falcons. Chargers hot after that win over Denver. Falcons a little heated after that loss to Seattle with the no-call pass interference. Who do you guys have? Matt, we'll start with you.
It's at the Falcons. I'm going with the Falcons.
I agree. I just think that they're just going to have too much firepower. And Joey Bosa has played very well in his couple games. He's been finally able to play. And I like Phillip Rivers. I expect this game to be a shootout. But I think that's one situation where do you have more guns than the other person or do you have the best gun? The Falcons have both of those.
Yeah, I agree with both of what you guys said. High score game. As a Matt Ryan, Julio Jones owner, looking for a lot of points, and I think the Falcons bounce back with a big win. Now, guys, at Heinz Field, but no Big Ben, out with the torn meniscus. And Tom Brady versus Landry Jones. Patriots at Steelers. Tim, who do you have?
LeGarrette Blount's going to run on them. He's a former Steeler. He's a little salty still, I'm sure. James White's going to make plays out of the backfield. And those two tight ends. You talk about the Baltimore Ravens being overrated. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are overrated. And I myself might have overrated them.
Hot take.
I like the New England Patriots in this one. I think that they're going to keep going hot. And Tom Brady's still pissed off.
Brady, Patriots. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. Brady, Patriots. All I have to say. Seattle at Arizona. No fly zone. Cardinals just won on Monday night against the Jets. Was that Monday?
Yeah.
So they got a big win. Seattle won at home on that aforementioned no-call pass interference over the Falcons. Mm-hmm. Who do you have in this one, guys? Kind of an intriguing matchup since it's at Arizona.
To be honest with you guys, and this might sound mean, I have 100% lost faith in Carson Palmer. He has not been good since the NFC title game. I wanted him to be able to excel his career again when he went to Arizona, and he did for a few years there. He was outstanding. But he's just been bad, man. He's making those, 09 Carson Palmer decisions where it's, two guys deep on Larry Fitzgerald. But I'm going to throw it to him anyway. I think they simply won that game because they had more weapons. I like Seattle in this game because Jimmy Graham is finally fitting in that system, and Doug Baldwin's doing big things.
I don't trust Seattle as far as I can throw them, and I'm pretty sure I can throw Seattle pretty far. So I like Larry Fitzgerald. He has stepped up big when they've needed him to in the past, pretty much this whole season. And so I'm going Arizona in Arizona.
I like Seattle in this, and I like your point, Tim, about Jimmy Graham. And also Christine Michael playing very well, and even C.J. Spiller. I didn't even know he was still alive. And then he's in Seattle making plays. So I think the secondary, not the Super Bowl winning defense we saw, but still matches up well. Fitzgerald's going to have his catches, but outside Fitzgerald, no one really on the Cardinals. I think Michael Floyd caught the lowest percentage of his targets out of any receiver in the NFL. So yeah, I'm going to pick Seattle.
Game last week.
He won the game. He had the touchdown last week.
I said he had a big game last week. So keep an eye on him to break out again because he's.
How big was his game? He caught a touchdown. I think he had 22 receiving yards.
Matt,
did he?
Matt, I've covered Michael Floyd for 9 years. Trust me, there's no breaking out happening.
Really?
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, final game, guys. Brock Osweiler, Edward Cullen from Twilight, returns to Denver.
So Ryan Braun?
Ryan Braun on Peds. What am I talking about? Texans at Broncos. Sports Authority Field at Mile High. Who do you have, Matt?
Oh, I have Denver. Von Miller's ridiculous, and Brock Osweiler sucks this year.
Shelby, put $30 on C.J. Anderson for me because he's going big on this one. Denver Broncos.
Okay, I'm going to pick the Broncos too because Brandon Marshall came out and said, we want to kill Brock Osweiler. So that was honestly his quote. He's like, I'm glad he got paid, but we want to kill him on Monday. So I was like, I might give Denver the upper hand with that defense. So I'm going to pick the Broncos and, what's-his-face continues. DeAndre Hopkins continues to struggle with that new offense, and maybe some more boo birds come out, even though the Texans did have that big comeback win over the Colts.
Will they have Will Fuller this week?
Ooh, the Colts.
Not sure if Will Fuller's going to play. I know he didn't last week.
Yeah, he didn't last week. Hey, he's pretty good.
Aren't you supposed to be our Irish reporter here, Tim?
Dude, yeah, but
you've been so worried about Malcolm Floyd, you forgot about Will Fuller.
Haven't you covered Will Fuller for 9 years?
4.
5 if you include this year.
No, because he only played at college 3. So this is 4.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. I forgot he was a. What was he? A red shirt?
No, he was a freshman. I mean, he was a true freshman.
Okay.
Well, guys, that'll do it for our lightning round. We really do need to go back and I write them down, but I wrote them down in like 6 different notebooks, and it's just like I don't really want to go back and find them. so
well, you don't want to go back to your college years, folks.
Yeah. So
it's Thursday on Men in Stripes.
Well, from Tim Daniel and Matt Wilson, thank you guys for listening. This is another episode of Men in Stripes, and hopefully the Bengals move to 3-4 and get a big win against the division rival, the Cleveland Browns, come Sunday. Who day, guys?
Go Cubbies.
The truth is, I'm not really sure what happened.
If you came to groove.